It's a myth. There is no such thing as I have a social life and I have a full-time job as a full-time student. Let me tell you something. Me, corporate, hate it. I've been there. A job. School, I hate school. Just have to keep yourself in check. If you're not gonna keep yourself in check, who's gonna do it? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm back with another video, and today we're gonna be discussing how I managed to balance a full-time job as a full-time student. Let's get into the video. First, this is actually real. I actually did have a job last year, October till early January this year, if not February. I worked for about an average of like 4 months, and during that period I was still doing my degree, which I am doing now. So I say full-time, the job was literally full-time, 8 to 5, and I still have on-campus classes morning till evening. So when I say a full-time student, full-time job, it was literally full-time. The first point I have, it's a really simple point. It's a mindset thing, basically. I'm actually laughing because my friends always saying that I'm always saying everything's a mindset. No, actually this is actually a mindset. Let me tell you something. When I was working, the reason I started working was because one, I needed a distraction and I was lucky enough to find a job because that's not easy. And two, I wanted my CV to look good. You know the vibes? I got my job and then I was actually hired. I was told that it's a part-time thing, or maybe it was a part-time thing. I don't remember the details, but I went into it thinking it's a part-time job. So I was like, okay, I can do this. Part-time job, full-time student, I can balance this. Get to the job. It's not a part-time job. It's actually a full-time job. 8 to 5, and then I remember the first time I realized, oh, this is actually a job. I asked my boss if I could go to class between 12 and whatnot, and then I was like, no, you now have a full-time job. Proper, so we need your full attention here and stuff like that. I'm like, this is actually real. So from then onwards, I couldn't go to class because they're not gonna pay you if you don't show up to work. We had like a timesheet. I was a temp, basically. I didn't have like a permanent 1-year contract. It was just a monthly contract. It was renewed every month. Usually log in your hours on a time sheet, so times you're not there, they're not gonna pay you. The more you skip, next month they won't renew your contract. So I was trying to keep my game up, basically sacrifice my school for my work. It was hard, guys. The first thing I did was go to work 8 to 5, and then I'll come back like 5:30 or 6, and I have to eat, and I have work to do, and I have to sleep, rest, and get ready for the next day. So that can be quite an exhausting cycle. It really gets you guys. Working and studying is not an easy thing. I don't know who lied to you. It is not easy. It's literal hell. Like, people who do it because they have to, mad respect to them, guys. Let me tell you something. Me, corporate, hate it. I've been there. A job, horrible. School, I hate school. So I was doing 2 things I don't even like. I guess I like the other one even more. I like my job in the beginning, guys. I love my job. But that's not the point. The point is, every time I found myself struggling to like focus or struggling to cope, I would tell myself that there are people who do this every single day because they have to, not because they want to. And they get through it. There are people who've done this before you. They've gone through it and they've finished school, still keeping their jobs and maintained a balance. If those people in those situations can do this, my privileged ass can't be complaining because I wanted this job, and now I gotta stop complaining like a wuss. You just have to keep yourself in check. Because if you're not gonna keep yourself in check, who's gonna do it? It's a sheer mindset thing, guys. It's all in your head. The pain is in your head. You gotta tell yourself to stop being a wuss. Like, no one's gonna push you. No one's coming to save you. You have no one but yourself to push you. You really have to speak to yourself, encourage yourself, and actually stop babying yourself, because the moment you baby yourself, that's just a recipe for disaster, to be fair. I say privileged in the terms that even if I lost this job, no part of my life was going to crumble. I wasn't worrying about how I'm going to pay my rent next month, what I was going to eat. My parents take care of that. I'm literally a full-time student, so this job, you could as well call it a hobby, but it wasn't a hobby because it was a literal job. It was an actual paying job. They didn't pay me crazy much though. I just feel like you should stop being a wuss and just push through. You have to compromise. You have to sacrifice. Which takes us to point number 2. You have to learn how to make sacrifices and compromising. I could tell you, you should, I'm gonna tell you other stuff that actually do help, but sleeping, eating healthy, you should always, especially the sleep part. Let me tell you, life is never gonna go how you want it to, you know? Ideal plan with a person with a full-time job, full-time school is go to work 8 to 5, come back, let's say you eat, let's say it's around 7, then you start to study from like 7 to like 12, or like, not 12, because you have a job, you have to wake up at like 6. At least 6, half 5, 6. So let's say 8, 9, or 7, 8, 9 hours before 10. Let's just say latest 10. You tell yourself all these things, but it's very hard to follow through, which is another thing. You should have the discipline, but that's not the point I'm talking about, because I did not have that discipline. I'm not gonna cap and say be disciplined. Sometimes it's so exhausting. It's not even about discipline. Going to work for, is it 10 hours? I think 8 to 5 is 10 hours, guys. It is exhausting. It is literally exhausting. Some days when I came from work to my bed, I would literally sleep. I wouldn't even bath, remove anything. I wouldn't even cook. Just open my door, fall on the bed, get in my blankets, remove my shoes, and just fall asleep dead. That's actually how corporate is. It was really exhausting. Some points where I would sleep, I'll then wake up and be like, okay, now it's time to study, because actually it's something due. I remember this one week was very hectic because I had an assignment due. The work had been so busy. It was just so exhausting. You're gonna have to compromise your sleep sometimes. You're gonna have to compromise your social life. Let me tell you, full-time job as a full-time student, what is social life? It's a myth. There is no such thing as I have a social life and I have a full-time job as a full-time student. And I'm not just saying job and student. Some people do their work online, fine, easy. Some people have like a little part-time job, a few hours of work done. I'm saying full-time 8 to 5, and then you still have full-time classes. You're just gonna have to suck it up and just remind yourself exactly why you're doing this. It's a mindset thing. I said this before and I'm gonna say it again. It's a mindset thing, period. You gotta have to compromise, sacrifice between what's important and what's not. Prioritizing that little 1 hour you have for Netflix after work. Realize that you need that 1 hour. If you're gonna wanna sleep, you need that 1 hour. Another thing I started doing when I started working, I started prioritizing my job compared to my school. That's another point I wanna explain very carefully before y'all cancel me for no fucking reason at all. It's not that deep. Work is not that deep. Especially if your main priority is being a student. Do you know how replaceable you are? Especially in corporate, you can be replaced like this. And I'm not saying don't do your job, but it's kind of like you don't need to put more effort than what's needed of you. You need to be a teacher's pet at work, especially if it means your school's suffering. Putting in extra hours after you get home, you just want to put more work hours just to be called employee of the month. Guys, they can replace you like this. They can replace you in a minute, and just putting extra effort and extra hours where it's not needed, it's a waste of time. Do not do that to yourself, especially if your school's suffering, guys. Work is work, 8 to 5. Stop trying to take your work home. You work at work, you see tomorrow in the morning and focus on the present. I feel like it was my first job. I was really excited because my first job was an actual job, and I was really excited. So I was like, you know what? I want to be that girl who does my work at home. Sometimes I'll even want to stay like late after 5 because, you know, employee of a thingy. It's not that deep. It's just not that deep. Like, stop trying to sabotage your school or a job that they can just replace you like this. Know your priority, honestly. Everyone has different priorities. Mine was school, so that was mine, and I really didn't have to do all that. I'm not saying don't do your job. Do your freaking job. Do what you're told to, but the extra spice and pepper for nothing, or for what, or for who? Then another actually important point is you should have a wingman. Honestly, you are hearing me say I had an 8 to 5 and I had full-time classes. How did I manage those classes? Honestly, I had a person who would take notes for me in class and then give them to me after work, and then I'll go through those notes and like see what's up. You can't do this alone, man. You know you want to be a lone wolf, and sometimes it's hard, guys. Sometimes you just have to drop your ego and just ask for help. That's just what it comes to sometimes. Like, you really can't do this on your own, guys. It's just impossible, to be fair. And that's also up to you to be disciplined enough to say, when I get home, at least if you're not exhausted, you gotta catch up and do the work, or else you're gonna fall behind. Obviously, I couldn't be in 2 places at the same time, so having a person who would actually help me was actually amazing. And I'm also so grateful that co-workers, they're just amazing people. Like, they were so understanding of how like you're a student with a job, so let you slack off sometimes, because you know it's not easy. It's really not. There is no balance between job, full-time job as full-time. There is no balance. You just have to stop being a wuss and just tell yourself it's not that deep. The pain, you just gotta embrace it and guys, I don't know, man. Like, it's not easy. I've been saying this. Like, honestly, what you're doing is hard. I really understand. Like, I know humans are lazy ass people. I would know I'm a lazy ass human being. I mean, it does make sense. Why else people constantly inventing stuff? Because we're lazy. We want to make our lives easier. So obviously, you think a balance is, you know, so relax, have peace of mind, but also have a full-time job as a full-time student. There's no such thing. It's not freaking reality. Sometimes you just have to remind yourself why you're doing it. Why are you doing it? Wingman, that's the point. You have to get a wingman to help you with catching up at work and class. You need a person. If you don't have friends, pay someone to do it. Then the second from last point is sleep early. This is gonna maybe be contradicting what I said before, like you don't get sleep. If you can sleep early, those days you don't have assignments due, take advantage of them, get back from work, sleep. I personally don't advise going out if you have a full-time job as a full-time student. Literally no reason for you to be going out at night, especially during weekdays. I remember this one time I went out with a friend, guys. I think it was a Wednesday. I had work on a Thursday, guys. I was exhausted. Like, I went there, I fell asleep in the movie, and halfway through the movie I was like, guys, I'm going home, I'm going to sleep. I have a job and I need to take care of me. It's not easy. It's not. I mean, guys, I went through it. It's freaking traumatic. And I'm not saying it's the hardest thing that's ever been done on planet Earth. I went through the most. Other people have it easy. No, I'm just talking from my experience I had. I actually remember there was a certain assignment I didn't finish because I just couldn't. It was impossible to finish, so I just submitted, and then you know what, I passed the module. That's what's important. You just have to constantly speak to yourself and remind yourself while you're doing this, and stop being a wuss. Stop babying yourself. Fight. Actually, I'm being dramatic, but I'm actually very serious. Like, and then the last point is movement, guys. My job involved sitting down the whole day, 8 to 5 for 10 hours. And then when I get back to my place, I'm sitting down studying or doing something or something like that. You need to constantly move because it does help to keep active. I don't know if it's a me thing or it's an actual scientific thing, but weeks or days or months I go to the gym, I'm very active in class, up and awake. And then the times I don't go to the gym or I'm not getting any type of movement, I usually feel lazy and sleepy, and I don't know the science behind that. Just keeping active and hydrated really does help you focus more at work. Guys, I could tell you so many stories. There are times I'd get to work late because I overslept and stuff like that. It was totally normal. You are going to survive. You know, you're not gonna die. It's not impossible. It's been done before. I feel like me passing my second year whilst at a full-time job, I don't know, man. It's an achievement to me. I'm really proud of myself for doing that, because wow. Anyway, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and subscribe button. Yeah, because like I told you, useful stuff that you can use. So it'd be kind of selfish if you don't support my channel by liking and subscribing. I'm joking. Bye.